So, motorbikes. I like motorbikes. People like motorbikes. Most people like motorbikes. I mean, they're motorbikes. They're two wheels, go fast. Everything's cool. But they're not easy. They are not easy. I mean, you'd think having two less wheels and, you know, a whole lot of less of everything else makes designing something easier, but the whole less is actually more does play into this, and trying to design an electric motorcycle. Now there is a challenge. Oh boy, I've been thinking about this years, like years, before we even considered electrification of anything. Like, well, that's not true. People were thinking of electrifying things a long time ago, but in my world, in my lifetime, when I was like a teenager, just barely out of high school, I was thinking, how do you make an electric bike? Given you have batteries that can store enough energy and motors that are powerful enough to push it, and you can keep the weight down so that it still performs like, you know, ice engine. You need some pretty magical batteries. It's pretty like well understood that for electric motorcycles to be really feasible, you're looking at the kilowatt hours per kilogram ratings that you would need for, you know, electric aircraft. They're both in that same domain of energy density requirement. So trying to design a motorcycle, and now here's the crazy part, motorcycles, we're gonna need some hand wavy stuff. Let me just shift you around. Here we go. There we go. Okay. There we go. Motorcycles, right, have been designed in a certain way. You have the engine, the wheels, fuel tank. Like, you got the gas tank, right? And it's above the engine, and you got the seat, and like everything has its place. It's the form of a motorcycle is its function. Its function is determined by its form, and its form determines its function. So trying to then go, okay, let's make it electric, doesn't work, because it will, but it's a lot harder. You have to start from the beginning and think, now the function has changed. I mean, yeah, it's still two wheels and goes fast, but the things that make that happen aren't the same shape or form factor anymore. The electric motor is tiny. You don't need a gearbox. The batteries can be quite bulky, and then you want to keep that weight low. So where you would have the gas tank, you don't want to put batteries there. So what do you put there? The core of the motorcycle no longer has its form because the function has changed. And this is the thing I've been struggling with designing this electric motorcycle for so long. Every time you go at it, you approach it from, okay, we start with the chassis, then we work out where we put the motor and the batteries. That doesn't work. Right, we start with the motor, then we work out where how the chassis is formed and where the batteries go. That doesn't work. Start with the battery. Well, where do you put the motor? It's just been never ending. And the other day, a few months ago actually, like when I made this sketch, it was a while ago. This was just one of those epiphany ideas. I like to play around with geometric shapes in my head, just when I'm sitting around. And I apply those geometric shapes to problems to see how you can rearrange things in their form factor dependent on their geometric shape, those geometric shapes. And I figured that hexagons would work quite well with a motorcycle. So let me show you this. So this is basically it, right? Barely anything. When I work with stuff in my mind, everything's constantly changing and moving and evolving. Like, there are parts of my mind that I'm not completely aware of or in control of, like sort of, you know, like your heartbeat or your breathing, you know, you don't pay attention to it, it still happens. So the way I visualize stuff, my mind sort of does the same thing, where it'll play around with stuff without me having a conscious control, you know, over that thought. So when I sketch stuff, I have to keep things very minimal, because the thing in my head could change at a moment's notice. But you can clearly see, like, I've been playing around with this hexagonal geometry to define some of the forms in the motorcycle. You got your seat, and this is where your tank would be. So because we don't need a tank, we're going with the frame, and then we can put the batteries. Batteries, if you're using cells, are circular in form factor, which means they can pack within a hexagon. So you just stack a bunch of hexagons up inside this thing. You get 3 modules for your batteries. You got a module where you can place your motor, which stays low, and voila, you just all of a sudden can generate a frame based off these points. Now, of course, everybody's going crazy about, you know, Tesla's Cyber truck, the Ute. I quite like it. If I had the money, I would totally get one. So, you know, why not? Let's make this a cyber bike, because cyber stuff is in vogue at the moment. I was going to go with a front end swing arm like I did with the previous design, but with this one I was going to go over the wheel like one of BMW's front end swing arms. Is it BMW? Yeah, BMW made one. And it really is, for me, like just a lot of playing around, seeing what I like. And these are the initial stages of design. So before you get into working in CAD or nailing down how the mechanisms and stuff work, just trying to find the shape of something that you like is an important stage. So yeah, just a quick little time lapse there of me just sketching my ideas out and going through something. There's not really much I can pass on here knowledge-wise. A lot of this sort of stuff is unique to every person. Each person has their own way of collating what's in their mind and bringing it out and trying to make sense of it. And that'll be different for each person. And it just takes practice. So years and years of just creating stuff over and over and over. It doesn't matter if you finish the idea, just put something down, and it helps you get into your own system of doing things and working out how you do things versus how other people do it. And don't worry too much about, you know, how other people do things, or people tell you how to sketch out an idea or stuff like that. There is no right answer. It's purely down to you and how you feel comfortable getting what's in here out on paper, or however you want to sketch out or rough out your initial ideas before you start jumping into Inventor or your CAD software of choice. But hopefully the most of the people watching this are going to be Inventor users, because why? I don't know. I'm going to be, teaching how to use Inventor my way, and I mean, no good if you use a different CAD software. If I'm teaching you, well, you do this, this, and this, and all right, well, I've been Chaos, and I hope you enjoyed this short little video on getting ideas out of your head and sketching. This is stage 1 of the Chaos Cyber e-bike. Why is it such a long-winded name? Why can't I come up with better names? I mean, all my aircraft designs are all weird Latin variations of air, wind, and flight and freedom. But yeah, we'll leave it at here, and next episode we'll probably look at doing some CAD, like I said, with the frame, get this paper onto the screen, and no more watching me make a mess on my desk. Cool. See you guys next time. Like, subscribe, check out my Twitter. See you then.